Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive with us. Today, we are going to be tackling managing international and development projects.
Ooh,
Fun, I know, right? Perfect timing, too, if you're like getting ready to kick off a big international project.
yeah.
So consider this like your crash
A little
course.
prep.
Yeah. We've got a university lecture document that we're going to be pulling from,
Okay.
and 2 research articles.
Nice.
So really diving deep today.
Awesome.
So first things first.
Yeah.
Our source material breaks down international projects into 3 main categories.
Okay.
So first up, you've got like your typical commercial project.
Right.
So think companies expanding into new markets or, setting up shop overseas.
No, it's like your classic business is doing business
Yeah,
internationally.
gotcha. Then you've got international development projects.
Okay.
Which those can be like all over the place.
Right.
It could be a project focused on like a super specific problem, like improving access to clean water,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be tackling a broader range of issues, like promoting sustainable agriculture in a region.
Totally. So like one very focused and the other one is more broad.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
And then lastly, you've got your really global or regional projects.
Okay.
So things like international environmental initiatives
Right.
or setting like common standards across countries.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I think it's really important to distinguish between these different types of projects
Yeah.
because it really impacts like everything.
Right.
So who are the key players?
Yeah.
What are the primary goals?
Mhm.
Are you like aiming to turn a profit, or are you trying to create positive social impact?
Yeah. Or, achieve something else entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thinking about like your own project,
Yeah.
which of these categories really resonates with you?
Yeah. Which one are you working on?
Yeah, and what are those big overarching goals that you're kind of working towards?
Yeah, for sure.
So once you kind of have a handle on like the type of project and its goals,
Right.
the next step is understanding all of the factors that can like make or break your success.
Yeah, those unique things that you really got to look out for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And our lecture document, it really nicely outlines these 6 major categories to keep in mind.
Okay.
So hit me with them.
Okay, so first you've got like the legal and political landscape.
Okay.
So are the local laws and regulations favorable to your project? How much bureaucracy are you likely to encounter?
Yeah. Are you going to run into any roadblocks there?
Totally. And then is there any potential for like government interference?
Okay, so those are all things to think about like right off the bat.
Yeah, for sure.
Then there's the economic side of things too.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Exchange rates, inflation, the cost of doing business,
Hmm.
the local labor market, all of that plays a role.
It all ties in.
Yeah, and then, speaking of the local environment, we can't forget about infrastructure.
Yeah.
So thinking about how reliable are the communication networks? What's the transportation system like?
Right. Is it easy to get around?
Yep. Yeah. And what about the power grid? All very important.
For sure. Super important for smooth operations.
Yeah.
And, kind of going off of that, geography itself plays a part too.
Oh, totally.
Climate, natural obstacles,
All right.
even the risk of natural disasters.
Like, yeah, if you're in an earthquake zone, that
Exactly.
could really impact your project.
Yeah, it could totally throw a wrench in things.
Yeah. And then obviously there's the security situation, both on a national level and a local level.
Yeah, especially critical in certain regions.
Yeah, for sure.
So a lot of things to consider there.
But one that I always kind of think about is the human element, culture.
Oh, yeah.
Talk values, beliefs, customs, all the things that shape how people interact, work together, and view the world.
Yeah, it's like the foundation of everything.
Totally.
And that's where like the concept of cultural intelligence comes in,
Okay.
which basically is the ability to understand and adapt to different cultural contexts.
Gotcha.
You need to be aware of those differences and adjust your approach.
Totally. And, I think our source material stresses the danger of having like an overly ethnocentric approach.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Assuming that your way is the best way
Right.
without taking the time to like really understand other perspectives.
Yeah. That's just asking for trouble.
Huge recipe for disaster.
Definitely.
So I'm curious, have you ever had an experience where like cultural differences caused a real hiccup in a project? Or even just like in a work environment? What happened and what did you learn from it?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I remember I was working on a project in rural Vietnam
Yeah.
where we were introducing a new irrigation system.
Okay, cool.
We designed it using all the latest technology,
Awesome.
but we didn't fully consider the local farmers' like traditional methods
Right.
and their connection to the land.
Oh, so you had the hardware.
Yeah, we had all the fancy equipment.
But maybe not the humanware.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you were missing that understanding of, like, the people.
The people, their
Yeah.
needs, their existing practices.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why our source material really emphasizes the importance of technology transfer,
Okay.
which isn't just about, like, installing new equipment.
Right.
It's about making sure that the knowledge and skills needed to operate it are transferred too.
Okay, so it's not just like, here's the new technology, good luck.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, here's the new technology, and here's how you use it.
Right, and here's how you maintain it so it actually benefits you in the long run.
And that's what they're talking about when they say humanware.
Yeah, the people and knowledge component.
Yeah.
Training, ongoing support, and really, like, taking the time to understand that local context.
Yeah.
And adapting the technology to fit.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This reminds me of something I read about a project in Kenya
Okay.
where they introduced solar-powered water pumps.
Oh, cool. To help farmers irrigate their crop.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So the pumps were great, like they worked.
Right.
But then they realized they needed to teach the farmers how to do basic maintenance.
Oh, yeah.
Like how to clean the solar panels and how to troubleshoot minor
I don't
problems.
know if they're just going to break down and no one's going to know what to do.
Totally. And it's like all that work for nothing.
Right, exactly. It's like setting them up for failure.
So thinking about your own project,
Yeah.
what kind of technology transfer might be necessary?
Yeah, what do you have to think about?
And how can you ensure that it's not just about the initial installation, but about building long-term capacity?
Right, like you're giving them the tools and the knowledge to actually sustain it.
Totally. So you're not just like swooping in and then leaving.
Exactly. It's about empowering them to take ownership.
Now, when we talk about the success of development projects specifically, it gets even more complicated.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because, like, whose definition of success are we using?
Right. Are we talking about the donor organization, the project manager on the ground, the community?
Like, they all might have different priorities.
Totally different stakeholders, different perspective.
And our source material really, like, pushes us to think about this.
Right.
Like, whose voices are being heard?
Yeah, whose perspectives are being prioritized?
Whose definition of success are we actually using?
It's not a simple equation.
No. And then on top of that, there's the issue of sustainability.
Right.
Sure, a project might achieve some great results in the short term.
Yeah.
But will those benefits last once the funding runs out?
Right.
And, like, all the outside experts leave?
That's the real question, the ultimate test.
Like, is it actually going to make a difference?
Right, exactly. A truly successful development project is one that empowers the local community to keep it going.
Yeah, to, like, own it and maintain it.
Exactly, even after everyone's packed up and left.
So this all ties in really nicely with these two journal articles that we're looking at today.
Yeah.
So the first article by Weera Sakara, published in 2021, it really highlights a major challenge in development projects.
Okay.
Delays.
Oh.
And not just any delays. Delays specifically caused by procurement issues.
Oh, wow. So, like, problems with getting the stuff they need.
Totally.
Interesting.
And they found that things like cumbersome government bureaucracy or difficulties in hiring, like, qualified personnel.
Right.
And even in, like, complexities in the loan payment process.
Wow, so even just getting the money where it needs to go.
Yeah, all of that can really hinder a project's timeline.
Makes sense.
And they give this one example of a project in Sri Lanka
Okay.
that experienced all these major delays because of difficulties in transferring funds from the donor country to local contractors.
Oh, wow. So they had the money, but they couldn't even get it to the people who needed it.
Exactly. And it's just like a reminder that even those seemingly straightforward financial processes can become like massive roadblocks.
Especially in international projects where you've got all these different systems and regulations.
It really underscores the importance of understanding the local systems before you even begin.
Do your homework.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, the Yaman article,
Okay.
which was published in 2016, that takes kind of a different approach.
Okay.
It focuses on factors that actually contribute to the success.
Oh, cool. So, like, what makes these projects work?
Exactly.
Right.
And their research was based on a study in the Maldives.
Okay.
And they identify several key ingredients.
Okay, hit me.
So they found that things like coordination among stakeholders, solid project design,
Right.
and effective training programs, those were all perceived as like really important.
Yeah, makes sense.
But what really stood out was monitoring.
Oh, interesting. Why was that so vital?
Well, effective monitoring allows you to kind of keep an eye on the project's progress.
Right.
So you can identify potential problems early on
Okay.
and then make adjustments.
Gotcha. So it's like a feedback loop
Exactly.
that keeps you on track.
Yeah. And it
Okay.
helps you adapt to those unexpected
So
challenges.
you're being proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it also kind of highlights the importance of having clear systems in place
Mm-hmm.
to track your progress and measure your impact.
Right. So you're not just like hoping for the best.
Exactly. You need to have that data.
You got to know what's working and what's not.
Okay, so we've got these really complex projects,
Yeah.
diverse stakeholders,
Mm-hmm.
cultural nuances to navigate,
Mm-hmm.
technology to transfer
Right.
this pressure to deliver results.
And make sure it's all sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to manage all of this?
Communication is
Yeah.
key, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not just about like the quantity of communication.
Right.
It's got to be quality too.
Clear, concise, and culturally sensitive.
Yes.
That's super important. And you need to establish effective channels for that communication.
Literally.
Regular meetings, online platforms, whatever works best.
And thankfully, we have so many communication technologies at our disposal now.
Oh, yeah.
Like we can have face-to-face meetings even if we're thousands of miles apart.
Right. Video conferencing has been a game changer.
Totally. We can collaborate on documents in real time.
Yeah. Those shared workspaces are awesome.
And project management software.
Keeps everyone on the same page.
Yeah, so many tools.
Yeah, it's an incredible toolkit.
But our source material is very quick to point out
Mm-hmm.
that even with all of these fancy tools,
Yeah.
strong communication really comes down to good old-fashioned planning
Right.
and the human element.
Building trust,
Yeah.
understanding different communication styles,
Yes.
being adaptable.
It's like having the most high-tech off-road vehicle,
Okay.
but if you don't have a clear map, a skilled driver,
And the ability to adapt to unexpected terrain.
yeah, you're not going to get very far.
I love that analogy.
So speaking of navigating complexities,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on... So speaking of navigating complexities, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the power dynamics
Oh, yeah.
that often come into play in international development projects.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got donor organizations, governments, NGOs, local communities,
Mm-hmm.
all with their own agendas and interests.
Absolutely.
So how do we ensure that projects are truly collaborative
Right.
and equitable?
Yeah, that's a really critical question.
Yeah.
And one that the development sector is constantly grappling with.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall into that trap of thinking we know what's best for a community.
Right.
But true development really comes from empowering people to define their own needs.
Totally. So how do we shift away from that like top-down approach
Yeah.
and create more participatory, community-driven projects?
I think it starts with listening,
Okay.
really listening to the people we're trying to help,
Right.
understanding their priorities, their values, their existing systems of knowledge.
So it's not just about like coming in with our solutions. It's
Exactly.
about like really understanding what's already there.
Yeah, and building on that.
Yeah.
It's about building those genuine partnerships.
Right. Based on respect and trust.
Excellent.
And not just like imposing our own agendas.
It's a partnership, not a dictatorship.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think it really requires like a shift in mindset
Yeah.
from
needed.
helping to collaborating.
Right.
From seeing ourselves as the experts with all the solutions
Mm-hmm.
to being more like facilitators
Yeah.
who can support communities in achieving your goals.
It's a humbling approach,
Yeah.
but ultimately I think it's much more effective.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to kind of circle back to you, the listener.
Right.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
Well, yeah.
Different types of international projects,
Uh-huh.
the factors that can impact their success,
Yeah.
the importance of cultural intelligence,
Mhm.
technology transfer,
Right.
the complexities of defining success.
Yeah. And those power dynamics.
Yeah. So what are your biggest takeaways?
Yeah. What are you walking away with?
What are you thinking about?
I would say think critically about your own project.
Yeah.
What are the unique challenges that you're facing? Right.
Which of these factors that we've discussed are most relevant to you?
Yeah.
And how can you actually use this information
Yeah. Apply these insights
to be successful?
and to really make a difference.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been awesome.
It has.
It's a great reminder that managing these international and development projects,
Yeah.
it's not just about checking boxes and meeting deadlines.
Right. It's about people.
It's about navigating those complex human systems,
Hmm.
respecting diverse perspectives.
Yeah. And ultimately trying to make the world a better place.
I love that.
It's about positive change.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
Yeah. And that you feel inspired.
Yeah, to tackle your own international projects
With confidence.
and a commitment to making a real difference.
That's what it's all about.
Until next time.
Happy exploring.